Welcome back, everybody. Crystal Sisters.
We're back.
Yeah, we're back. This is part 2. We did the other part last season. We're in 3rd season now. And we are back to talk more about our favorite topic, one of our favorite topics, which is crystals. We are continuing to talk about, except for one example I brought, which is the anomaly, basic crystals, back to the basics. So today we're going to continue talking about some basic crystals that are really awesome. Basic does not mean that they're not as fabulous.
Plain or ordinary.
Or plain or ordinary. These are crystals that are just, God gave us these crystals to help our lives be better and for all these amazing uses. So can't wait to get in. These are some of my very favorites. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to talk about now what? How do we use crystals? We're going to talk about gridding.
Mm-hmm.
And just some
really interesting topic.
Really interesting, and just some simple things you can do to use these crystals at home in the way we use them and the way we've heard other people use them. So can't wait to get started.
What do you want to start with?
Well, I think I'm just going to right out of the gate talk about my weird crystal today that I just love. That's really bizarre. Bumblebee Jasper. And Jessie is going to do all this extra work to provide you viewers with really clear and gorgeous photos of these stones so you can find them yourself and see them up close. Mm-hmm. Anyway, this is Bumblebee Jasper, and it's called Bumblebee Jasper because it has those gorgeous, amazing colors of bright yellow and black. And yellow in the mineral world is not very common. It's one of the least common colors that you find. And these are just, they're stunning.
When it's striped, almost like a bumblebee.
It's like layered and striped, like bumblebee stripes.
Mm-hmm.
These are gorgeous. As you can imagine, and they're rare, more rare. A lot of jewelry is made with this because it's just so striking. And it's just kind of, I don't know, like I said, more rare. This, I did a little research just as to what this is comprised of. It's a combo of different types of volcanic matter, so it's found in very volcanic regions. Anhydrite, which I don't even know what that is, but that's one of the minerals. Anhydrite, arsenic, sulfur, hematite. That brings me to an important topic. We talked about this last time with the malachite. This is one of the stones, and actually most yellow stones are like this, but this stone in particular, because of the arsenic, but also the sulfur, you have to wash your hands with this. You don't want to use this with the gem water trend that everybody's doing right now, which I think is cool. But please do not put this in gem water and, drink it. That's the worst thing. It literally has arsenic and sulfur in it. That being said, it's not a bad or evil stone. It's not a toxic stone. It's just, I'm going to wash my hands after this. Okay? I'm not afraid to touch this, but I'm washing my hands after. As we've talked about in the past, a lot of the colors and stones kind of denote which chakra that they're associated with. Bumblebee Jasper is no different. The yellow, and it also, by the way, this is a lot more yellow, but some of this is yellow and orange. I've seen bumblebee like that. It is the sacral chakra and the solar plexus. So the sacral chakra is a lot about creativity and inspiration. It's sexual energy. It's all of which, sexual energy in the world is literally synonymous with creative energy. So I think that's very interesting. So this is the artist stone. This is great for musicians to wear. It just helps channel creativity and kind of envisioning. Pull it out, and it's a great conduit for it, and just helps you flow more with that creativity. So if you feel blocked creatively, get some Bumblebee Jasper. Writers use this. It's like a writer's stone. I love which this makes sense. It enables acceptance of change, which is a lot of what you need with creativity, is to kind of let go of what you know
and take the risk.
Take a risk. So this is a risk-taking stone.
I love that.
It's anytime. This will be a great gift for somebody who's moving or who's changing careers. Major life. Somebody who's just gotten divorced or whatever has happened, to help them accept and create from that change. Chaos helps creativity. And change, chaos is about change. So I love this. Pretty rare. One of the main places this comes from is the mine is called Mount Papandayan, but it's in West Java, Indonesia.
Wow.
I think you can find this in a couple of other places in the world. I think Australia is one, but it's very rare, and most of it comes from that one mine in West Java.
I don't remember seeing that in Tucson, but I'm sure we can find it, search it, because I'd love to see more of it. The only time I've ever seen it was when I was with you when you bought that, I remember. It'd be fun to find more of that. It's almost chartreuse, almost like a really rich chartreuse, greenish.
It's so beautiful. But wash your hands. What have you got?
So one more for me before we get to the
basics.
Common stone. This one actually is a really common stone as well. It's called Rhoodonite, and that's RH, Rhoodonite. This variation is pink Rhoodonite. Typically, Rhoodonite is more black with a contrast of pink. And this is a lighter pink. The black, more prevalent Rhoodonite
with pink spots
has more of a almost like the rhodochrosite pink against the black, which is a really, really beautiful stone. This is just grayer and lighter.
We talked about rhodochrosite last time.
We did.
Which is literally looks like a strawberry milkshake.
It does. Okay. And it's very linear. It has the white, lines, if you guys want to look back and remember.
Yeah, but this is different.
This is different. And I love this stone. This is more associated with the heart chakra. So it's all about peace, love, and compassion. Again, this was, I think, originally found in Russia, but it's found all over the place. Again, very, very common. They've also mined this in Massachusetts, I read, and so it's the state gem of Massachusetts.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, I had, of course, no idea.
It's gorgeous.
And we'll get a good picture for you guys.
Jessie.
Thank you, Jessie, for that. But so I love this. And I was so happy to kind of re-educate myself around what's so great about it. It's a stone of real purpose and community, bringing people together.
It's a great church stone. It's a great worship stone.
You could call it that. You could definitely call it that. It's all about generosity of spirit. And giving from
charity,
the heart.
Philanthropy.
Right. It can be, physical, material in that sense, but also just giving of yourself and your best qualities and sharing who you are and your love or whatever it may be, too. It's an emotional healer. It aids in forgiveness. I think you hit it when you said church stone. It kind of
worship.
It's kind of the umbrella around all the great qualities of Rhoodonite. It also helps, I think I mentioned it aids in forgiveness and your ability to forgive, but also helps reduce your own tendencies for self-destruction or self-deprecation or any of those negative thoughts and ideas.
Forgiveness of yourself.
Exactly. Right. It helps with all of that. So again, all of these things that come from and through the heart is wrapped up in Rhoodonite. It's a really good stone to help obtain an equilibrium or balanced state after any kind of hardship, whatever that might be. So if it's something, again, a major life change or divorce or death in the family, death of a loved one, or any kind of hardship, it's helpful to help kind of bring you back to a place of wholeness. So I just love the stone. Yeah, it's really good for so many different things.
You know, and I just want to say, there's a tradition with crystals, and people say crystals find you. A lot of crystals have found me. I'm just going to tell you, more than I have room for. Anyway, I think a lot have found you too. But so it's lovely to find your own crystals, but there's a tradition with them that it's really a wonderful thing to give crystals. The energy of that is really nice. And, you know, you want to talk about an amazing gift for someone to encourage them, or, you know, they're having a hard time, or, you know, they're struggling with whatever it is, or, you know, to have at your church. I mean, to give to your minister, or to, there's so many different gestures that crystals can help amplify in terms of the connection between people.
So true. And it's one of my favorite things to do is to
to give a crystal. And again, a lot of these are affordable. I mean, we're not
breaking the bank.
No, we're not breaking the bank here. So it's just a special gift. Okay, let's talk about citrine. And I want to get really clear about citrine. Natural citrine is very different than a lot of the citrine that you find out there. This is natural citrine, and I'm so glad Jenny brought her piece too, because we're going to have Jesse photograph this. The color variants, Jesse's telling me where to hold this. You know, it's essentially it looks like clear quartz, but it's got a pale yellow to it, and to a golden yellow. It almost looks like a yellow diamond, like yellow diamonds that I've seen. It almost looks like smoky quartz, but it's not. It's more of a yellow.
Gold.
Gold. So a lot of the quote-unquote citrine that you see out there is actually, it's if it's on a, and I didn't bring the citrine that I'm not as fond of, you'll see a lot of citrine out there that's on a white base, it looks like, or a white bed, and then it is in points, and it's orange. I mean, it literally looks like orange. And that is, most of the time, it is amethyst that has been radiated to make citrine.
Right.
Okay? And it's no bueno. And I'm not gonna say it's terrible or bad or evil. It's not, but it's not the actual.
If you're
natural
looking for
citrine.
true citrine, that's something to look out for.
You really need to. You want to get the right citrine. Okay, I believe. This is natural citrine. It is one of my favorite stones ever. It is known as the merchant's stone. I think means so much more than that, but traditionally over hundreds of years, this is the stone that they would have on ships, the merchants. It is supposed to bring just straight up physical wealth, like on a very
abundance.
That frequency. The superstition or the tradition around this is that any store owner, banker, merchant ship, anybody selling anything or trading anything typically would have citrine around to help their business. Now, I believe that. The other thing about this is, people use this in their homes in feng shui. When you walk through the front door of any domicile, the far left corner is the wealth corner. So people put citrine in the wealth corner of their home. You do not want to put citrine in a bathroom or near a faucet or water source, because that is believed to have money flush down the toilet or go down the drain. Like, water and citrine is not necessarily, that's not the tradition of how you use citrine. I personally love, and mind you, I have a citrine in the left corner of my home. Everybody should. But I love the idea of citrine in terms of lack of scarcity, energetically, and for abundance in your life in general, not
Beyond
just
money
beyond money
and wealth.
It's abundance of love. It's really, citrine's really about self-love, and that you're worth it, and that there is no scarcity. Citrine teaches us to not live in scarcity, right? So think about what a great gift this would be for certain people that are struggling with whatever issue. I mean, it could be loss of a loved one. It could be struggling financially. It could be loneliness, you guys. I think this is a wonderful stone for people who are kind of stuck in a loop of loneliness. It's one of my favorite. It is such a powerful spiritual stone.
It's a manifestation stone.
There you go. That's a great way to put it, Jenny. Like, what do you want to bring to you? You know, is it a lover? Is it money? Is it a dream lifestyle? Is it dreams for your child? Dreams for people that you love? Citrine helps us manifest in the physical world what we're dreaming about. God, who doesn't want this
I know.
around them?
I know. For so many different reasons.
For so many reasons. Do you have anything to add about citrine?
I think you've really covered it very, very well. It just, again, attracts wealth and prosperity and all things good. I read about that. I also read that citrine is one of 2 stones that never need cleaning.
Interesting.
I didn't know that. The other one is kyanite, and I don't know what kyanite is. It's KY, kyanite. But citrine and kyanite are the only 2 stones that don't need cleaning. We did talk about cleaning your stones, I believe, on the first episode that
we can revisit that.
We did in the first season.
Talk about that for a second. I think it's good to revisit.
It's important to, if you purchase stones or find stones, to make them your own. So you do want to wash them, and they can be washed, I think we mentioned, in a couple of different ways. Just running them under water in the sink, or sometimes a moon bath outside. There's certain stones that might prefer that. Or sun bath is another way, but
not very long, because sun can fade.
It can, it can, but what's most important when you're washing the stones or making them yours is to create your intention around them, in order for them to fulfill the purpose they may serve in your day-to-day
Don't
life.
put selenites or salt-based stones in water.
No, don't do that.
Just FYI.
They'll dissolve.
But citrine is a lovely stone under the water. Yeah.
So, anyway, but I thought that was interesting about citrine. I didn't realize that was one you didn't need to.
It's also called charging, which I think citrine is where you hold it, meditate on it, and kind of allow it to have its energy in your life. Charging. Okay, what's next?
Well, so you talked about where people traditionally might put citrine in your house, and so maybe that's a good segue into talking about gridding.
Yes, we really wanted to talk about gridding today because it's a great way to use any type of stone. But if you know what your stones, help you with in your life, you can really use it specifically in different areas of your home and your life. And it's just very helpful. Before we talk about going into exactly what gridding is, like, we've got this gorgeous chunk of cathedral tourmaline here. And one of the best, you can grid with any stone. It does not matter what stone it is. But black tourmaline is one of the best stones traditionally, and it's the one I use all the time. It's the go-to gridding stone. But tell us about black tourmaline, Jenny.
Black tourmaline is, again, it's very much a grounding stone, but it absorbs. It's like a vacuum cleaner for negative energies. So anyone and everyone should have this somewhere in your home or your place of business or your car. It's very useful for that. But so it's a stone of protection.
It's a big protection stone.
I mean, that kind of sums it up. It's just a protection from negative stuff,
And it
whatever
grounds.
that may be.
It grounds things.
So here's some little tiny ones.
Yes.
And when we talk about gridding, again, this may not show up so much, Jesse. This is a real challenge to try to get this teeny tiny stone in the camera, but in the shot. But anyway, this is you can find these any number of places. But that's obviously a really good practical size for gridding your home.
And it's not about, the power of stones. It's not about how big they are. So it can be just as powerful in the small size.
That's so true.
I love this big piece. I have a big piece of tourmaline next to my bed. And, we can just start there. How do you grid and what is gridding? I wouldn't necessarily call having that big piece of tourmaline gridding, but I'm kind of using it in the same way. One of the things black tourmaline helps with protection from negative energies, negative spirits, any kind of, because I'm so open and intuitive, sleep for me throughout my entire life has been when you get in that hypnagogic state, you're a lot more open to energies like that. And a lot of people that are sensitive know that. And at night, especially, it's a time where they can sort of get into your space, get into your psyche, get into your energy, because you're not as protected with yourself.
Vulnerable.
You're more vulnerable. Black tourmaline is just so perfect for that. The night terrors, the visitation, unwanted, unrequested visitations. So I just literally keep a huge chunk of this next to my head where I sleep at night. So gridding, the reason it's called gridding is because it's using sacred geometry and creating these shapes or grids with the different crystals or minerals. So if you were going to grid with black tourmaline, you would think about a sacred shape and you use it as a protective, almost creating a protected space with the grid. So to use these in the corners of rooms
Or your yard.
and bury them in your yard at the four corners of your property or different corners of your property. But here's the great thing, you guys. You can do concentric grids. There's not a hard rule about this. There are lots of different traditions. But, you could do the four corners of your property, the four corners of your house, and then the four corners of everybody's bedroom in your house. And sometimes, there's not I've actually even used just Scotch tape. I mean, I used to have a cat.
That's what's in my house. That's Scotch tape it to the corner.
Scotch tape it to the corner.
Yeah, it's not complicated at all.
It's not complicated,
fancy.
so that the vacuum cleaner doesn't get it or the cat doesn't bat it or whatever. And it's kind of like what Jenny was saying earlier. It's about the intention as you do it. Some people use the sage. They sage their space and then they grid behind the sage to
and you
clear.
might have a mantra, a personal mantra to attach to it.
It's very much about
Personalize it.
owning your space, claiming the protection of your space, asking your guides and spirits to protect your space. This really works. Do you have a child who's having nightmares? Are you having nightmares? Do you have a family member in your home that is dealing with a lot of depression or negativity or whatnot, whatever the issue is? Black tourmaline can help stabilize whatever is going on in a space. I like to use the analogy when you grid with a black tourmaline or really any stone, but especially black tourmaline, to envision like a screened in porch, and it creates that square of a screened in porch so that all the negative gets stopped by the porch, but all the positive can come through the screen. Almost like a breeze, right? You want the breeze, but you don't want the bugs, right? Very similar. The other thing to think about when you're thinking about sacred shapes is making pyramids. Okay, so I like to do the four corners of a room and then get your ladder out. And if there's a fan or a light fixture in the middle of your room, put it in the light fixture. All of a sudden, you've created a pyramid shape, which is, as we all know, is such a powerful protective shape. So you can play with this. There's not a wrong way to do it. But if you could start to get your head around using those sacred shapes, making them 3D, just understand that these crystals are going to talk to each other with their energy and make these grids.
Right. Right. That's so, I love the pyramid reference too, because I have not done the pyramid in my house.
Tape it to the ceiling. Yeah, you don't have a light in the middle of the ceiling, tape it to the ceiling. Do you have a new baby? Oh my goodness. Give this baby, you know how they have the bassinet covers? Give them a bassinet cover of positive protective energy.
They're also really great too, to put under a mattress.
Yes.
Or under a pillow, even above on a shelf. They're good, and obviously in your pocket too. You can carry them around with you throughout the day. But I do have some under the mattresses in my house as well.
Well, I have
all different kinds.
I mean, Jamie, a lot of people use, and again, so now we've talked about tourmaline. You can grid with all kinds of stones.
Earlier we talked about blue calcite, and that's an excellent stone to grid a place of business because of its anti-theft property.
And your home.
Right, or your home, absolutely.
Like, use it with black tourmaline.
Right.
Bury it in the four corners of your yard.
Right.
I love it. But you can also work with the chakras. So I've seen where people, I need to do this, but in between your mattress and your box spring, where you sleep, have different stones that work with the different chakras. Go ahead and make that line. And again, clean your stones. We told you how to do that before you grid. And set your intention.
How often would you say that stones should be cleansed?
You know, I don't think there's any rule around it. I would tell you that, you know, if I am especially stressed or I have dealt with something really negative, after situations like that, I just kind of clean my space. I clean my stones. If I've had a lot of people in my house, I like to clean my stones. I know we've talked about this before. I love when the moon is full and there's a cloudless night. You know, I'm like that witchy person who, in my little neighborhood in Buckhead, I just kind of, or Virginia Islands, I put my stones all out for a big moon bath, cleaning them that way. I just love that, right? Some people do it every moon cycle. And I think there are different stones that are a little more sensitive that would need it more than others. You know, black tourmaline.
Some that absorb more than others.
Yep. Those higher frequency stones that, you know, selenite,
the infinity stone that we talked about on the first episode that we did is
very high vibration sensitive.
Absolutely. That's a once a month.
Yep.
If I can remember to do it once a month.
Right. But no, that's a great example. You know, I would clean my Bumblebee Jasper more than others. I just think it's more about creating creativity and a flow. So you want that unblocked. This is not a grounding stone, right? It's more about channeling stones are not grounding stones. They're actually about opening to, like, being ungrounded. So it's a very good thing to kind of use these stones together. Jenny was talking about that last episode. Stones are really, first of all, you can't put the wrong stones together. Okay, so again, there's no rule about that.
Right.
But if you could think about, you know, if you're going to be doing channeling or mediumship, or let's say you're reading tarot cards or whatever it is you're doing where you're really opening up to energies, you know, I would want my celestite for that, or my selenite. Labradorite. She talked about that last episode.
Shadokite. We talked about last episode.
Shadokite.
Original episode.
So if you're doing those sorts of activities, If you're having even groups of people doing that, prayer groups, meditation groups, all of that are people kind of getting ungrounded and opening up. Have your black tourmaline nearby to counterbalance it. I mean, don't you think?
I do. I think that's excellent advice. And I think also, too, you can kind of wash and go. That sounds kind of funny, but if you're going to sit down and meditate, and I've done this many times, if you're going to sit down for prayer or meditation and you have a particular stone that you're drawn to, sometimes I'll wash it then before I sit down, just to, again, kind of reset the energy of the stone, but then also my intention around what I'm using it for.
I think at the very minimum, it's a great New Year's practice. It's a great New Year's practice to clear all your stones, set your intentions with the stones. You know, here's the thing. Washing your stones, looking at your stones up close, it's setting intentions around your stones. It's an intimacy with the stones. Is what this is. It's personal. And it's a relationship. And, you know, it doesn't have to be a relationship. I'm not saying sit and talk to your stones all day. But what I am saying is that there's just a subtle energy kind of relationship that you start to bond with your stones.
Right. And what we've said from the very beginning, it's kind of why you're drawn to certain ones at different times.
Yes.
Depending on what you've got going on in your life. So,
isn't it interesting, because we have a lot of crystals at our house. You know, I don't sit and think about what do stones mean all the time. I think it's interesting and I think it can help, but I like to just be open to the energies, and it never fails that, you know, I'll be going through something and I will notice, out of 20 stones sitting on a table, I will notice this one stone every time I walk by. I'll notice it. So I try to notice me noticing, if that makes sense. And inevitably, I stop and I'll pick it up. Then sometimes I'll read about it. Inevitably,
I know what you're going to say.
it is addressing something that I'm dealing with. Try that. Just try that, you guys.
I've tried that.
It's amazing.
I've experienced that too. But also when I'm thinking of, again, a certain person or friend that I'd like to give a stone to.
That's a great.
And I'm very much drawn to a certain type of stone.
Without thinking about the meaning.
Without thinking about the meaning. Yep. And then when I give it to someone, I always want to refresh or learn about what its purposes are, what its properties are, where it came from, because I'm a geek and I love to know all those things. But inevitably, just like what you've just said, it's something that really pertains to something that person might be going through. And I just go, oh, okay, so duh. That's why I was drawn. That's why I want to give them this particular stone.
That's the fun of this, when you start to have experiences like that.
I know.
And then you really start to understand. And again, you know, there's not a hard and fast rule about crystals. I mean, they are this abundant resource that's been given to us on this earth to have a relationship with, like nature. It's part of nature. So it's very inspirational and restorative part of nature that's here for us. That's just beautiful. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think we're going to keep doing this.
I'd love to. Thanks so much for having me back.
I'm so glad that you came back. And as usual, you know, we love to talk to you on the message boards. So ask us more questions. If you have worked with some of these crystals, or you have anything to add about these crystals, let us know, because Jenny's going to be on these boards too. Thank you, as always, for your support and watching. And have I said lately how grateful I am to you viewers and subscribers, because this network is completely supported only by subscribers and not advertisers. So please tell your friends, give this as a gift to your friends. We need all the support we can get. We love this community. It's a community unlike any other. We love you guys. Love, love, love. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Namaste. And we'll be back.
And we'll be in Tucson
We'll be in Tucson
very soon.
We go to Tucson
stay
every
tuned.
year, so we'll be
More to
having
come.
clips from that too. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.